Whoosh.
Sidekick, Yoko Geri tutorial. Os. Alright. Alright, Yoko Geri is sidekick. In Japanese, they call it Yoko Geri. Right? You can do Jordan, Yoko Geri, Jordan, Yoko Geri, or Gaidan. That's face to the solar plexus or to the groin. So I'm going to demonstrate, how to do a sidekick. Everybody has their own special way of executing a sidekick. But in my opinion, when it comes to any technique, it comes down to the formation of that technique. With proper form, you're going to have great technique. So it's all on how you execute it, right? Starting from your feet up to your hips, all the way to your shoulders. That's all body positioning. How you position your body will determine the formation, the execution of that technique. So it's not just throwing the feet out there or throwing the hands out there. It's the formation of it, which gives it the technique, give it the power and the speed. So, it seems complicated, but it's really not. Once you practice slowly, which is the most important thing, you train the technique slowly, you understand the technique, what's the purpose of the sidekick, what parts of the foot do you strike with the sidekick, how do you execute it from a side position or from a southpaw or unorthodox position, how do you execute that sidekick. So all those things, you have to understand that. It's like you're trying to learn something, but you don't know the reason for learning it. You don't know the reason behind the technique. You're just doing it, but you don't know the application of it. You don't know how to use it as a defensive or as an offensive. So the best way to learn something is to understand behind that technique. What's the purpose of it? How do you defend an offense using that technique? And that will help you to truly understand that technique. You're going to start off with your knees coming up. Knees up first. The higher you bring the knees, the higher the kick's going to be. Boom, that pivot is very important. If you notice, my toes, the standing leg is pointing all the way to the other direction. It's kind of like you're looking to the other direction. Will make it easier for you, but you're not going to really look there when you're striking. Boom, see the switch of that hips, very important. You bring the knee up, chamber that knee. The higher you bring the knee, the higher the kick's going to be. And you want that foot to turn all the way facing to the left. If you notice, I'm pointing. It's kind of like I'm looking towards that direction. But when I'm going to kick here, I look, boom, the foot switches. Right when the kick comes out, the foot turns at the same time. That will enable the hip. That's how you get the power in that kick. So I'm showing you here the formation. This is very important. Back. See, knees up. This is a good practice if you want to train for that side kick. Boom, the hip switching. I'm showing you. When you look into that direction, it makes it easier for you to pivot the foot. But you're going to look towards where you're kicking and push the leg straight out. This is the formation of the side kick. This is a good way to train it. If you want to, you can hold on to a stool or a chair, which I'm going to demonstrate later on in this video. Boom, knees up and down. So you always want to bring the knees up first. Pivot out. And if you notice, that standing leg turns all the way around, down. Knees up, pivot. I'm looking towards you, showing you a little easier way for you to get a foot around. Practice this first, getting that foot all the way around. That's very important. That standing leg is what enables your hip to rotate for you to get that power and the formation. Boom, in and out. You want to snap that leg out. Boom, back in. Bring the knees up, boom, back in. Control the formation. This is form and also balance. Balance is very important. Boom, that switch, very important. Boom, that switch. That is where the hip comes into play. That little switch right there is where the hip comes into play. Boom, boom, switch, boom, switch. Gonna do this slowly again here. Knees up. That little turn here is very important. That switching, boom. That's the hips. Then you push the leg out. I like to train this side kick in a way where I'm like walking. I'm not thinking. Any direction, I'll just fire it out there. Boom. See? I'm just like in a walking stance, Seizentai Dashi stance, I just fire it out there. I'm not thinking any direction you want to execute it. It could be your hands are down, but boom, you fire the side kick out there. Boom. It's a little different angle here. Boom. So if you notice that standing leg, the knee comes up, boom, switches. See, you notice? Boom, switches. And the points you're striking with, you can strike with the blade of your foot or the heel. I'm showing you here Chodan. So I'm going towards the solar plexus to the rib area. So I'm doing midsection side kick. So I'm training to the midsection first. Good to train that first. Get used to the formation of the kick. Get your balance down, because balance is very important. If you have no balance, you're going to fall over. You want to get your accuracy right, your position and where you're striking. So this is very important. If you notice when I'm doing the side kick too, I'm kind of pushing forward a little bit. I'm sliding on that foot. This is for distancing, all depending on where your opponent is. You can use this kick as an offense or a defense. So if your opponent is rushing at you, you can counter him with a side kick. Or you can come forward and execute that side kick, where I might see me slide a little bit forward and execute it. Again, that's undistancing, getting your range right, which takes a lot of practice, a lot of timing, a lot of sparring to be able to execute it like that. So I might move a little bit forward, slide a little bit forward, but you always want to bring your knees up. Eventually, after a while, after you keep training this technique and you start to understand it a little more, you want to bring that knee up and push it out, bring it back down all in one motion. So everything you're going to flow in one. So you're not going to show the knee coming up eventually after a while. So here, I'm showing you can use a chair. This is a great way to train too. You bring that knee in, up to your chest, pivot the body like I showed you. Without the chair, boom, side to side, boom. This is a good technique, boom. Practice this slowly. If you notice the standing like I mentioned, that's the hips. That's to be able to use the hips there when you switch the foot all the way around. You want to get that foot facing the other direction. And use the chair, you just work the kick coming in and out, just like this. Boom, switch, see? Back around, boom. You can use one hand, you can use two hands. Depends on what you want to do. But here I'm working the hips, I'm working the formation. This is also helping my balance because I'm holding on to the chair. So this is excellent to work your balance. So some people will have a hard time doing it without the chair to fall over. I'm going on a little high here, but I want you to practice going to the midsection first to get the form down properly. Form, good technique. If you don't practice with proper form, you're going to injure yourself, you're going to hurt yourself, and you're not going to be doing the technique properly. So you're always going to practice slowly. Use a chair, use a stool, bring that knee up, execute it, bring it back down. If you notice when I'm kicking, I'm leaning slightly back. Reasons for that, that's because of body angling. You have to angle your body in a certain position if you want to execute that side kick effectively. If you lean too forward, the kick is not going to happen. If you lean too far back, you're going to fall over. So it's all about the body positioning that I mentioned. Also leaning back, it's a defensive move, just in case you get countered. You'll be out of range of your opponent's attack.